Now tell us about the American Diabetes Association and its role in the Capital Region.
Well, the American Diabetes Association has been around since 1940,
Okay.
and we have a signature event every year. We've been here in the Capital District. This will be our 22nd year of Tour deCure, which is a cycling fundraising event that's usually and always has been done the second Sunday of June. So we will be on board this Sunday, on Sunday, June the 2nd at the Saratoga Springs High School, celebrating our 22nd year of tour.
That is incredible. Now, Theresa Lazzari, how did you get involved with the American Diabetes Association?
I actually work for the Lia Auto Group, as you mentioned, and we're huge supporters in the community, and we've been the automotive sponsor for Tour deCure for, I believe, 5 years now. And 3 years ago, I'm like, we need to form a team. We need to form Team Lia. So I took that, I took over and kind of formed a team. And now we're going on our third year, and I just love it. It's such a great event. It's probably one of the better events I've attended in the Capital Region, and it builds a lot of camaraderie between the employees at the Lia Group.
Now, Denise Nicastro, diabetes is a term that we hear about a lot, but a lot of people, unless it personally impacts them, may not know what diabetes is. Could you share some information with our viewers today?
Well, for diabetes, what actually happens is it's when your pancreas doesn't function correctly. So people that have type 1 diabetes are actually, that's a genetic disorder. So they're born with a not properly functioning pancreas. And what happens is sometimes people are diagnosed at a young age, but sometimes it's not until they're in their 20s. The more significant diabetes is type 2, or more prevalent is the better word to use. Many more people are affected by that, and that is diabetes type 2 that comes on older, usually older in years, and it's related completely to lifestyle. Genetic history actually does contribute to it as a factor. Getting older, it contributes as well. Ethnicity, and your diet and exercise, what you're doing as far as activity. So that's the bigger and the scarier one. That's where we're really trying to educate people in preventing type 2 diabetes.
Is diabetes considered a chronic illness, or can you, if you adjust your lifestyle, sort of get away from having it?
Definitely preventable, which is why when there are 26 million Americans that currently live with diabetes, but there are 79 million Americans that have pre-diabetes, which exactly we're out there trying to spread the word, making people aware of the fact that there are a few simple questions to answer. If you're at a high risk, talk to your doctor about it, have your blood sugar tested, and then what they do is the doctors, if they see the early signs of diabetes, will put you on a healthy lifestyle plan, getting you out to exercise every day, making wiser choices in your food selection, and then it is preventable that way.
Now I remember, as far back as I can remember, growing up, my dad had, which I guess would be the type 1 diabetes, and my grandfather had it. And I remember every morning my father would have to take the U40 NPH insulin from Lilly, and he would have to take a shot of insulin in the evening, self-administered. Mm-hmm. But I understand over the years and near the end of my dad's life, it was starting to change where you can also take the insulin orally now. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the little bit I do know, and again, there's so much advancements in technology. There's a lot of different choices for diabetes people. There are pumps that automatically will inject, if you wear a pump that's on your body that's already adjust for your blood sugar, so it will automatically, instead of the person having to take and do a finger prick and then taking insulin, they're able to do, they have a pump that's been inserted under their skin, and it releases what they need depending on if they're in a higher or low, if they drop in low, it'll be administrating insulin. So there's been tremendous advancements in the last several years or so.
What about oral taking it orally?
Still,
you can do that as well?
Yes, you can. And again, that's one of those areas that once you're at that point, the doctor will usually warn you and say, well, here you are now, let's see if we can try to get you off of it by maintaining a healthier lifestyle. But if not, what it could lead to, if you don't start to take care of yourself, because some people will start to depend on that and say, well, I'm taking the pill, so that's going to negate some of the bad things I've been doing to my body. So we don't want you don't want people to rely on that. But if they follow down this continuing path of not taking care of themselves, it could lead them to be insulin dependent. So we, again, the doctors, endocrinologists try to educate their patients into making sure that even if they're on, not to let it go further.
Now, I went to we were talking, it's a hereditary disease, and I went to my doctor recently, and no, I don't have it. But for someone that might have it, are there telltale signs of that one has diabetes, or maybe they ought to get a checkup?
I think that for a lot of people, a lot of it sometimes is that they realize that something's not feeling right about them, that they're needing to use the bathroom more often, that they're thirsty a lot. Those are some of the telltale signs. And whether it's a child or an adult, they're saying, something just doesn't seem quite right. And then usually when they're going for a checkup, one of the common tests in blood work is a fasting blood sugar that's done doctor's order. And if you're going to the doctor or physician, you're saying, I'm up during the night, I'm very thirsty all the time, it's a telltale sign to a physician, and there may be others that I might not be aware of, but those are the ones that come to mind significantly. And then the doctor would, and then of course ask, do you have any history of diabetes in your family? And then go through the proper channels of making sure the right tests are done.
Now, your biggest fundraiser, it appears every year nationally and locally, is Tour deCure. And Theresa Lazzari is here to talk about Tour deCure. Tell us about it and what's going to be happening here in the Capital Region, Theresa. First of all, nice to have you with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Like she said, this first Sunday in June 2nd this year, will be the Tour deCure for 2013, and it takes place at Saratoga High School. I want to say I don't even know how many riders.
Well, we'll be over 2,000 riders, which is about 1,900 already.
Huge event. Awesome event. Tons of vendors. Angela Mazzone from Mazzone Management comes in and provides food, and we have tons of awesome vendors that come and set up for us. We also bring the Lia Group and Vent Fitness actually provides spin bikes, so the people that do not want to ride on the streets, do the miles, the 10 miles or the 25 or the 62 or the 100, they have the option to spin inside. So we'll set that up Saturday before. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's about 2,000 people at Saratoga High School on Sunday, June 2nd.
Now, if one wants to get involved with Tour deCure, how can they do that?
They can actually go to the website, and it's very user-friendly. They can click on join a team, and then they can search for a team that they want to join, or they can donate very easily on the site. Or they can, anyone can register for them. Like if someone didn't have the option to go on the site, I could do it for them.
Now we have with us today the headless Red Rider. You want to tell us who a Red Rider is? And normally the ones you have do have heads, right?
Yes, absolutely. Those are the riders who are actually diagnosed with diabetes.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure how many we have this year, but there's a significant amount.
I understand the concept of the Red Rider came out of Colorado. Either one of you guys want to talk about that?
I might be happy to.
Okay.
Well, a few years ago, the founder of this, her name is Mari Ruddy, was someone that was riding in the event that had diabetes and said, hey, this is about me, and said, you know what, we need to recognize and honor the people that are participating in this event and let them stand out. So it was created out of Colorado, which still has to this day one of the largest Red Rider teams. Wow. A Red Rider jersey was created that says I ride with diabetes for every single person that's riding in the event. And for our event particularly, it's usually about 10% of your population of riders. So for us, we're anticipating about 200 Red Riders at the event. We create it as a day for them. We honor them, we recognize them. We're all saying that we're in the fight with you. It is so motivating, so inspiring, it's so moving. Anybody that sees and witnesses these people that are out there fighting, trying to take care of themselves, and it's a lot of work to manage your blood sugar and ride and be challenged with the roads, the terrain. It's not, it's not all downhill, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. It's not a race, but it's a ride, but it's still a challenge for these people. I think even myself firsthand, I've listened to a few of our Red Riders speak recently, and they say, we have to anticipate a change in our blood sugar because there's an upcoming hill. And, the rest of us anticipate it and just kind of stress over it, but gear up or gear down and go into a lower gear and ride it. But they have to manage, they have a whole nother thing going on. So it's very admirable. So our Red Riders are the riders that and they start out at the finish line, at the beginning of our start line, and we cheer them on and say, go Red Rider, and it's very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Now, Theresa, Denise just mentioned it. It's not a race, it's a ride. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
I can't speak for the riders on the road because I do spin every year, but I can tell you that the team members of mine that do ride on the bike, it's a joyride. They actually enjoy it. Like it's all for a good cause. It's not a race, it's not a competition. They just really enjoy being out there, like she said, for the fight.
Now, what is the age demographic of participants in the Tour deCure, or is it any age demo?
It's any. I mean, there's kids that are 10 years old that participate in the ride, and then it goes all the way up to 50s and 60s, as far as I know. My team consists of, I mean, the owner of my company, his kids are riding. Okay. They ride, and they're the ages, they range between 13, 12, 11. So it can go as, I believe there's a rider last year that was like, I think I saw her, she was 8 years old.
Wow. Now, what is the length of this ride or race, or is that up to the person?
It's up to the person. They have options. There's a 100-mile ride, a 62.5-mile ride, 50, 25, 10, and then the spin is inside, the spin option.
Now, this takes place, as you were indicating, on June the 2nd. Are there qualifications to participate? You have teams, you have church groups participating. How exactly does it work?
You join a team, you actually can be a solo rider, can you not?
There's 3 categories of teams. You can always register as an individual, but the categories for teams are corporate, which Theresa is the team captain of a corporate team. One of our largest divisions is the family and friends teams, and those are families that one of their children or
family members,
somebody in their family has diabetes, and they're riding in support of them. And then clubs and organizations. We have a few cycling clubs that like to do it as a fun event for a great cause. So it's those three categories besides individuals. Now,
what happens if you don't own a bike? I understand you help folks that don't happen to have a bicycle.
Yes, we have a spin event.
As
Theresa, the nice thing is that Vent Fitness, formerly Gold's Gym, is a sponsor of this event. They will bring in over 100 bikes, and so when people go to register, they have the different distances that they can select, and spin is one of the other options, and we briefly describe it as anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. 3 hours is as long as it will go, which is about the equivalent of riding 40 to 50 miles. So it's not an easy task when you're on a stationary bike. We have a rest stop that's set up in the gymnasium, so if people need a break, they want a bite to eat after they've been riding an hour or so, or need a drink, or need to use the restroom, they can get off their bike. That bike is their bike the entire time. So however long they want to stay, or if they want to stay the whole time or leave after an hour, we have master instructors that will come in there and lead them on a journey of hills and flats and sprints, all through music and coaching. So it's an amazing time. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of energy and positive.
Now, where does Tour deCure start, and where does it end?
It starts at the actual bike ride.
Yeah.
It starts at the high school and ends at the high school.
Okay. And what is the exact route, if you could elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, you know what, and I can, as far as we have, most of our routes follow the same path and then just go a little further. So our furthest distance is 100 miles, which goes up towards Lake Lazzari, just right up almost near the Lake George area. But it will also, it comes out a little bit on the west. It kind of, it's almost like a triangular shape. We'll go out west, and then it's kind of leads up north and then comes back and finishes at the high school. The 62 and the 50 are just short of that. And then the 25 is a little bit, because it's a course that's not really quite for experts. It's still a little bit of the novice cyclist in that, so we keep it a little bit closer to home. It's a little bit less dangerous, not dangerous, but steeper terrain. We have rolling hills through that. It's a little more of a challenging. The 62.5, 50, and the 100 are a little bit more of a challenge for the more advanced cyclist. So not to say that novice ones aren't out there and just saying, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to just get it done. But it is, and then so the 25 is gentler. The 10 mile, which is our family, pretty much I say family ride because it's for anyone that has a small child that wants them to participate and also be aware of a community event, that you're doing something for someone else. It's a great opportunity to introduce them into, in the 10-mile route is perfect because it's about an hour, it's leisurely pace, and it's mostly through the Saratoga State Park. So we take them out a little bit on the road and the rest, and we have support. We have route marshals, and there's all kinds of support to make sure all the kids are staying safe, that people are staying on the right side of the road, and it's really well maintained, a rest stop that's in there. So we do keep it very family friendly and safe for the children.